All right, we are live and with our ITSAN webinar for April 2019, and I probably have a bigger smile than ever because I'm so excited. So I've been so excited for a while. She is our, she's a steroid withdrawal warrior who I think everybody knows, but she recently dropped her official documentary called Preventable, Protecting Our Largest Organ. And it's like just this like fuel to the withdrawal fire that we've all needed. So I couldn't be more honored or excited to be hosting this webinar tonight. But while we wait for you all to pop on, I do want to say we've had more registrants, more of you register to be here with us tonight than ever before, as far as I know. So we are also streaming this live on our Facebook ITSAN page. So you can also find it there if you want to. And while we're waiting for you all to get here, I also just want to say that the momentum for ITSAN has literally in the last couple of months, between what our president Kelly Barta has been working on all over, not only America, but really all over the world, the efforts that she's been putting in, the efforts of our board have been just phenomenal. There are so many amazing things coming. So I hope you are also paying attention to that and watching our social media, both on Instagram and on Facebook. We're posting every single day something. We want to be a community that supports you in your withdrawal process. And we also want to be a community that helps us raise awareness and helps us get this message out. So remember, I became aware of ITSAN because I had a colleague ask me about it, and that's how I found ITSAN, which without ITSAN, I don't know how I would have gone through this process that started over 5 years ago. So it's so important, and it feels like for me, just from talking about my own situation, my own condition, my own journey with TSW, I have a hairdresser who's now going through steroid withdrawal. She didn't know that she needed to go through it. I had a former student going through steroid withdrawals. My dad is a caregiver who's going through it because he took care of me for so long and so many years. So it really comes down to sharing and really raising awareness. We've got to get the message out there because, as Briana is going to talk to us more about, this is totally preventable, and we are one word away, one share away from making sure that this doesn't have to be an ongoing problem way into the future. So make sure you join us on Instagram, type in ITSAN, and you'll find us, and also on Facebook. And never be afraid to share the message because there are others out there who are just waiting to know exactly what topical steroid withdrawals are. So with that, you are hopefully seeing the excitement on social media that me and the board and a great group of people, Jessica Verdonk is one of the volunteers for ITSAN that's working with me. We are literally brainstorming constantly to see what we can do to get our members more involved, to be more engaged, and to really show that we are a community that wants to support each other, be together, work together, and hold each other tight while we go through this process. So I hope you're seeing that. We've got new things coming up. You'll see some posts. We want to do not only our monthly webinars where we can get together and bring experts in, but we also want to have more of a community feel where we can bring you together, maybe for like an online meetup. So we'll have a post coming out for that soon. So look for that link. There's nothing better when you're going through this than to be with other people, other warriors who feel what you feel and know what you're going through and just want to be there to offer more support and maybe even some strategies, right? So, and in addition to that, we're getting some things set up for our kids because we know that there are many kids, little kids, babies, all the way through teenagers who are also going through this. And it's just so comforting to know that there's somebody else out there that knows exactly what our journey is. So please, please stay tuned to the social media and please share it. It's so important that we do. So it looks like, yeah, so the other thing we're going to do, one more thing before we get started, is warrior highlights. You may have seen, I was one of the warrior highlights. I featured, and I did kind of a healed look, but we're looking for more of our warriors, more of you to come through and share your pictures with us and a quote that might inspire hope or inspiration for other people. So Jessica Verdonk will be putting out her email address very soon, so you guys can share that as well and get highlighted on our social media page. So with that, tonight we are very lucky, very fortunate to have Briana Banos with us. She is going to take us through her journey with TSW, answer your questions, and also tell us about this documentary, okay? She's going to inspire us so much. I'm so excited. So before we get started, I just want to remind all of us what our mission is, especially as this webinar gets shared. Our mission with ITSAN is to raise awareness of red skin syndrome and support all of the affected individuals. Our goal is obviously prevention, and if at all possible, early detection, accurate diagnosis, and proper treatment. So that's what we're working on. That's the mission, as you all know. And just really quickly, a disclosure, please remember always that our webinars are here to support you. The interview content and ideas are those of our participants and by no means are meant to diagnose, treat, or suggest a treatment or regimen for listeners. The guests are brought to bring resources, education, and support for ITSAN viewers, but they do not necessarily represent the views of ITSAN as an organization. All right, so with that, don't forget questions are going to be answered. Probably we'll try to address them as they make sense throughout the webinar, but we'll try to get to as many of them as we can at the end of the webinar as well. So feel free to type in your questions that you have for Briana tonight, and we will address as many of them as we can for sure. All right, should we get started? Briana, you got Spidey there?
I do. He's here.
Welcome, and thanks so much for being with us tonight. I know why you're here. You're here because of the documentary, but I can tell you that my introduction to Briana, it actually happened late one night, one of those dark and lonely nights when everyone around was asleep, and I would go on to Google and I would just search and look for anyone, any light, anything I could find, and I came across kind of your spoof videos. So we're going to talk about those in just a minute, but I want to give you just an insight too. If you don't know Briana, where have you been hiding? I want to give you just a quick bio. Briana Banos is a topical steroid withdrawal advocate who has been in withdrawal for over 4 years. She's been fighting the uphill battle right next to ITSAN on steroid reform, as well as spent the last 2.5 years creating this documentary that I hope most of you have seen, and you can watch if you haven't, Preventable, Protecting Our Largest Organ. Her YouTube channel, which you can find under her name, also has other quirky and informative videos showcasing her TSW journey throughout the years, and it will offer you physical and emotional comfort while you're suffering. So that's how I found you. I found you when I didn't know where else to look, and I was really down and out, and I found this spoof video. It was Briana holding like this stack of papers, and she was like mocking the idea of going into the doctor and trying to explain what red skin syndrome is, and the doctor's going, that's not it. I laughed so hard. I remember laying there in my bed and just being so engaged in this video. I think I watched it like 5 times in a row because I was like, first of all, who's this girl that can laugh in the midst of all of this? And it was like, that's exactly what happens. It was so incredible, so timely, and so refreshing for me to see. So I got to meet Briana in Atlanta. So to me, she's been a celebrity for quite a few years. And I think you kind of have hit rock star status at this point. But before we get started, Briana, I want to know, will you just tell us how you're feeling right now? I mean, this has been, I feel like in the last couple of months, we've had like just this heightened excitement. So what's going on with you? Welcome.
It has, thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. It has been crazy. Honestly, I underestimated how much reception I was going to get after putting it out. I was just flooded with love and encouragement and thank yous, and I had people that I didn't even think were going to watch the documentary watch it and then share it, and then their friends are commenting. It's been overwhelming, but it's such a pleasurable overwhelming. I'm just so grateful that the message is getting out, that people have been consistently sharing it. I still get messages. I got a message today from someone I don't even know. It's a complete stranger, saying thank you for making this. One of them helped save their marriage. Like, wow. It has been so touching. So touching.
Incredible.
But yeah, it's been
Awesome. I'm glad people
a
are reaching out to you too. I'm so glad people are reaching out to you too to tell you how amazing this has been. So, do you have that kind of like after you've created a masterpiece? Like, is there kind of a let down for a minute where you just have to kind of?
I lost you.
Did you lose me?
I did. I have no idea. You were asking me about something about the letdown. I didn't get it.
Oh, I was asking creatively, emotionally, physically. Do you feel like you've had kind of like an exhale after all of this, or are you still feeling like you're really amped up?
I definitely feel an exhale. Like a part of me, I'm odd. I don't know if this sounds crazy to anybody, but I'm one of those people that if I give you a present, I don't want to be there when you open it. Like, I'm so anxious of like if someone's gonna enjoy this or it's something that they like. So I remember when I first put the documentary out that I actually put my phone and everything aside because I was so overwhelmed with I don't know how it's gonna be. So I feel like now after it's been almost
Awesome.
a month now.
Reaching out to you too.
It's been a bit of an exhale. So overwhelmed with I don't know how it's gonna be. So I feel like now after it's been almost
awesome.
a month now.
Reaching out to you too.
It's been a bit of an exhale. So overwhelmed with I don't know how it's gonna be. So I feel like now after it's been almost a month now.
Reaching out to you too. Briana, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I also hear myself. So I feel like now after it's been...
Yes, it's like it's recording and giving us some feedback.
I was like, am I the only one? I'm sitting here like, I don't know what's happening.
Okay, well, it sounds good now. So let's try to go to the next question. So just for all of us, and even for me, I guess I've never asked you this. I guess I met you in Atlanta and then kind of went with what I knew about you from finding you myself. But will you just tell us your own journey with TSW? How did you discover that this is what you had? And how did you find ITSAN?
I will give the shortened version of that. I mean, there was about a month of time where I didn't know what was happening. And I remember trying to Google like either something about severe eczema. I don't remember what I had typed in, but I believe it was a picture of like Rochelle that popped up. But I went and saw a YouTube video of Nina Marshall and then of Laura Stageman, who is now Laura Way. And those were the first two girls that I was watching their videos thinking, oh my gosh, I look just like them. And then one of them, Nina, had a link, or like it said ITSAN on it. And I was like, I don't know what that is. So then I looked that up and I found ITSAN through that way. And as I was reading, and even back then, like now, the website is wonderful. It has so many resources and everything. And back then there was only like a little bit of resources, but it was enough to convince me that this is definitely what I must have. And at first you're like in denial about it because you're like, that's a really crazy amount of suffering for someone to go through. But it almost felt like an aha moment of this has to be what it is, because I've been questioning everything around me. Why am I not questioning these drugs that I'm putting on my body? So it just made sense. And that's kind of how I found it. And then it was a roller coaster after that. How long
has your journey been?
How long have I been going through withdrawal?
Yeah.
A little over 4 years.
And what percentage would you say you are healed?
I get that question a lot, and it's hard to gauge that because I know sometimes people can go back or go back worse and stuff like that. But if I could say a percentage, I'd say 90%. I have problem areas, still my neck, parts of my arm, parts of my face can fluctuate, and like my legs this past like 2 weeks have been extremely dry, which has never been for a long time. So it just fluctuates in certain areas.
And you're back, you're working, how much of life do you feel like you're able to live fully again?
Uh, Looking back, like from those first days, this is just a completely different life. I mean, I have a full-time job. I still have little hindrances here and there. Like I used to be a professional dancer. I still couldn't take a job as a professional dancer simply because sweat tends to really irritate and blow up. You get really red and it burns. But like I'm a dance teacher now. Like I couldn't have done that at year one, year two.
Mm-hmm.
I have a social life now. Like I actually go out and do things, which has been great and incredible. So I just think I try and take the good and look at it as I have this completely new, fulfilling life that I can go out and have fun and do things as opposed to being at home and Netflix binging all day without being
Yeah.
able to do anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, Brianna, and I know that the emotional side of going through withdrawals is, I would say, equally as tough as the physical side of it. But I want to know from you, because I think it's part of what I saw in you as being so inspirational. Um, how in the midst of, because how in the midst of your pain, when you were doing those spoof videos, you did not look healthy and well. It's not like you had come through. So how in the midst of the pain were you able to be this fearless, creative? Where did the energy come from? And like, what made you do those videos, those spoofs that I found and went, oh my gosh, like maybe I just need to kind of keep my perspective here. How the heck did you do that in the middle of all the misery?
Um, Honestly, like we all have energy that we put things towards, and I just felt, especially, I was very attached to my hair, and I had very long hair, and it was about 3 months in, fourth month, I knew I was gonna have to shave it, and at that time, those 4 months, I was basically living on my couch, barely doing anything, and to me that was miserable. Like before that I was living life and I was very outgoing and I was always filming and doing something, and so I set the camera up and filmed myself shaving my head, and that's the first TSW video I had ever made, and I just felt like if I'm going to be suffering, I'm going to do something about it. And if I sit here and let the negative energy eat me up, I was not doing myself a service. I wasn't doing anyone else a service. And so I just figured if I'm going to have to sit here and be at home, I might as well laugh about it. Because if I sit here and just wallow in my self-pity, I wasn't growing as a person. I wasn't doing anything to help other people. And I feel like when you stop thinking about what you're going through and start thinking about how you can help other people get through it, it actually makes you feel better. And so when I started writing these like silly videos, I mean, some of them are really just ridiculous. It made me feel better because I was able to put in my mind that I was trying to do something to help someone else. Because if we're all going to be in this together, let's utilize the internet that we have and connect with each other and just laugh. Because honestly, there's either laughter or I can sit there and cry about it. And I would much rather just kind of like not make it funny, because obviously what we're going through isn't funny. But if we can laugh about it, at least that's our mind taken off of something that's completely destroying our lives. So to me, creating those videos was almost therapeutic for me, being stuck at home. I felt like I was interacting with other people as opposed to sitting there and venting in the groups all day, because that to me felt draining. And I would much rather have been a light instead of just more consistent of walling in my pain. I wanted to bring something else to the table if I could.
Well, I wish I would have had your phone number.
We all could have had like group chats.
Yes, I wish. I mean, which makes me so hopeful and so happy about where ITSAN is now, because I feel like the resources and the support are just like, you know, massive compared to it was back in the earlier days. And so that's such a good, hopeful thing for everybody that's going through it right now. But it is something that I noticed about you, Briana, and I think that just that's part of what makes you very, very unique and very special. So if you can keep that attitude and perspective, it's very helpful to everybody, because, you know, it's really easy with this to get down because it's such a long condition without a timeline. And so it's really easy to get buried in the, yeah. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, knowing how much it did for me back then. We have a question right now that I'd like to just address if we can, but Claudine wants to know, after 4 years of going through withdrawals, what things have you found that, do you still consider, because I don't use the word flare up anymore. After 5 years, I don't have flares anymore. I have skin that gets irritated still. It's kind of funny what you said, like your neck. I have my neck, my left arm. Those are still my areas that get, you know, if I start sweating or anything, I get a little irritated. But I don't use the word flare. In fact, I think it was about a year ago, I was like, wait, I'm not having a flare. Flares are different. I'm still just kind of like irritated. So she wants to know, is there anything that still triggers flare-ups for you, or just kind of increased in discomfort? Like, is there anything that you know specifically that trigger?
If I try and like work out, or if I start sweating heavy, it does irritate, especially my neck and the inside of my arm. Like, it'll start to burn. I know that tends to be a real irritant. As far as what you, like you said, considered flaring, when I released the documentary, I made a little post on it. I had so much anxiety that I actually had, and they're still kind of there, but I had my whole stomach, the lower part of my back, my derriere, and like the inside of my thighs. It was almost like hives popped up. Like, it almost sort of looked like beginning TSW, not like the burning, but I just looked red and blotchy everywhere. And I haven't had that in a really long time. So I know anxiety and high amounts of stress can trigger for me. But it's mostly the sweating that'll do it for me.
Yeah. Do you feel like before you went through TSW, before you knew about Red Skin Syndrome, were you affected by anxiety and stress in the same way? That did your eczema break out?
No. I don't feel that. I mean, if I dealt with stress pretty well. Like, I like being busy with like multitasking and that challenge of taking too much on, and I never felt that it came out in my skin, not like it does now.
Okay, so another question here from Caitlin. Tell us a little bit about pre-TSW, post-TSW Briana. What did you have to make lifestyle changes? Did you have to change cleaning products? Like, are you more sensitive to everything now? What changed before to now?
I mean, in the beginning, like when I was going through it, I definitely was wary. Like, I barely used anything. I didn't even use like soap. Like, I would, the detergent I use now is like the free. It doesn't have any kind of like fragrance in it or anything. I would in the beginning try and stay away from like those certain like anti-inflammatory or whatever, like the foods, like nightshades and things like that. Honestly, compared to other people, I feel I still put perfume on. I wear pretty much any kind of clothing. I dress pretty comfortably, but nothing I feel I've changed that I wouldn't have used, I think, before, other than steroids. Um,
So are you eating sugar? Is your diet the same? Are you? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I mean, I've tried different things. Like I tried the medical medium. I tried going like paleo or cutting out sugar for a while. And honestly, for me, sometimes I'd be eating a ton of sugar and my skin would be fine. And sometimes I'd be eating really healthy and my skin would be crap. So for me, I don't know if diet has done much of a difference or not for me. I mean, health wise, like being in shape, yes, of course, if I'm eating more healthy and that course, I would be more fit or anything. But um, no, I haven't made that many changes to who I am now. Like again, back when it was first starting, I tried to make as many changes as possible, just to see what irritated me. But right now, I don't really use, I guess, regular lotions though. Like I don't go to Victoria's Secret and get some like fragranty lotion. I really don't do that. But I'm not sure if I did that, if it would make a difference or not. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I think I took the stance of like, I worked with a naturopathic doctor who I didn't even know what that was before TSW, but I think I kind of took the stance of like, will it help or will it hurt? You know, as far as like, is it good for me or not? And I just tried to do things that were better for me. But yeah, I agree. We're going to go through the process. It's just how can we lighten the load a little bit more, make it more comfortable. We have to address this because we totally forgot that Coey man, I'm probably totally butchering your name. I'm sorry. But first of all, he says, hi, Briana from Holland. And, or she, I don't know who it is. But anyways, I don't know if you know who it is. But anyways, question, what's up with Spidey? Tell us, why do you have Spider-Man in your hands?
Oh my gosh. So he was with me. I mean, if you've seen the documentary, he's in it a little bit. I want to say he's in it. I've had this Spider-Man for a very long time. He's traveled with me everywhere. I sleep with him at night. I'm a huge child. But yeah, he's just like a little, almost like token or like something that I've always had. And
pre-TSW or just now since TSW?
oh, pre-TSW. It's a really long story how I even got him. A friend of mine gave him to me when I was about to turn 18. And it was his from when he was younger. And I was going through a rough patch at that time. And I just like clung on to him. And he's just been my little companion travel buddy. When I work with Royal Caribbean, he has gone with me to every single country and new continent. Again, he went with me on the documentary, so he has circumnavigated the globe. I was even contemplating making him his own little passport to stamp and stuff, just to be funny. He's just like a little token of
There's
like,
your creative funk.
he's just like the funny little sidekick that I always have with me. And it reminds me that, yes, I'm 30 years old, but I am still very young at heart, and I don't think that'll ever change. And so he's just kind of like my favorite superhero, and why not be on the webinar? He's been in everything else. So
I agree. Yes. I have a momentum from TSW, and it's a queen size comforter that goes with me everywhere too. So I can never do carry on anymore because I got to take it. But okay, so we've got a couple more questions. I'm going to save some of them to the end because I want to get back to the documentary, which can be found on YouTube by just searching. Go to YouTube and go to Briana Banos and you'll find the documentary. But if you haven't watched it, go watch it, because I'm telling every viewer here, you will watch it and go, yep. I think it was like, I told you like 1 minute and 34 seconds into it, I was like, she just basically explained my life. So that was incredible. But why'd you make it? Why a documentary?
Well, of course, I like to, I guess, take on more than I can chew. But after I was creating all the little videos and being funny, and I remember there was a time, it was during the summer of 2016. I was talking with ITSAN, some of the members, like it was back when Joey was the president, and we had been talking to another doctor. We all were on this conference call, and then we were just kind of talking about how, like, how do we get this out? Like, how do we share all these stories? Like, how do we get people to really, like, believe in this? And I was like, why don't I just do my videos on a bigger scale? And I started thinking about making a documentary. And then I started, like, the gears turning, and well, I have, ITSAN and people here to help me with research. And, I've kind of built a community that people were watching my videos. So I felt like people knew who I was, that I wasn't just going to start coming out and asking people to help donate to this random girl who wanted to create a documentary. I felt like I had a foundation of trust with the community. And so I just kind of went for it. I opened up my own LLC. I created a website and just kind of crossed my fingers and literally dove head first. And I knew at that point, like, the first dollar that came in, I was in. Like, there was no backing out, no matter what. And come rain, shine, tears, sweat, blood, wanting to throw my computer out the window, like, it was going to happen, because we needed something that put all of our stories together. I was tired of hearing even just myself with doctors being, oh, you're just one off. It's, you're very, like, you're rare. Like, no, that can't be happening. I wanted to bring all of us together so that you can see that this is a problem. This isn't just like one person coming into your office and you can just poo-poo them. Like, I wanted research all in one space. And I know it was a lot of information thrown at you in an hour and 39 minutes, but I just wanted somewhere that someone could go, here, this is all the information. Take it. You have the emotional, you have the physical, you have the research behind it, you have doctors talking about it, you have caregivers talking about it, you have people suffering talking about it. It's just like an overarching, like, spectrum of all the different things that TSW touches on people's lives. And I just felt like this could be something that could be utilized in a bigger way than just me making little funny videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I watched it in Atlanta, but then seeing it come out, I felt like finally there was a comprehensive something. Just watch this, and then it's really hard to debate, because I was thinking today about TSW is not rare, and that's what we're finding. I know personally people now who have become aware of it, and they are now going through withdrawals. So it's not that the condition is necessarily rare, but the awareness has been rare for so long, making us feel like we're that one-off, that strange odd duck out there. And so your documentary is just such a light of hope for all of us, because now we have something we can just say, here you go. Watch it. And there's really no more explaining we have to do. So it's huge. How many days, like, what was your travel? Just tell us a little bit about that. Because you were at what point, 2 years in?
When I was traveling, I was 2 years in. When I started the campaign, I had launched my website October 1st of 2016. So I wasn't quite 2 years. My 2 year was January 25th of that following year. So, I mean, leading up to it, I was doing like little mini bios. I was interviewing people. I have a whole little series on YouTube called How Do We Function? Because I was trying to interview doctors that have different specialties that could correlate with TSW. And then I coordinated, I think I did, off the top of my head, I don't know how many cities I went to. but I can list it off, but it was 56 days of travel and shooting for the documentary, and it was all over that 2017 summer. It was 2 places in Texas, it was 3 places in England, it was India, it was Japan, it was California, it was Kelowna, Canada, Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia, and St. Louis, Missouri. So it was a lot of different places in a very short period of time. Very daunting at certain times, especially in India and Japan, where I don't know anybody. I'm not from that country. I don't speak the language with some of them. So it was a lot physically. I definitely, especially like halfway through, you could see, like, I only had a little bit on my arm at the time. By the end, it was like my full sleeve was back just from the travel and the time change and the exhaustion. But I would never, ever, to this day, say I would give that up for anything. Like, that was the most incredible experience. I feel lucky that I got to meet so many amazing people that I still have friendships to this day. Like, one of them is like literally messaging me right now that I interviewed, like, soul sister for life.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great experience.
Yeah. And it shows all of us. I mean, it's just huge. You could do really hard things when you're going through really hard things, you know.
That whole quote, you don't know how strong you are until, like, strong is all you have to be, or like all you have. And I really believe that, because there are some days I'll look back and go, I have no idea how I made it through this day. Yes, I had a meltdown. Like, I had a good cry, but I still don't know, like, how did I function through it? So
yeah. I think strength is so personal, but yours is very inspirational, and it's encouraging. It's really encouraging, because some days just getting downstairs to get some food felt like the hardest thing to do. So, you know, we can't measure and we can't compare strength, but we can all know that we've got a little more. When you think you don't have any more in you, you've got a little more gas. Keep going. You can push forward. What's your take now on, I mean, from your start and then going through doing the documentary and today as it pertains to TSW? Do you feel like we're making progress? Do you feel like the changes are coming? How do you feel about it?
I do. It's always been baby steps, but from, like, literally just this past year, like, Kelly has been doing such an amazing job with ITSAN. Like, I am floored at how, like, many different conferences, all the different networking that's been happening, you know, just with, like, the NEA alone, it's pretty big, and I can only see it getting better from here. I know we all wish, like, we could just snap our fingers and this information would be known and accepted. It's always been that uphill, like, fighting battle. Sometimes I feel like we're like Sisyphus, like, rolling that ball up to the hill, and then if something happens, like, it falls back down, we have to go back down and, like, pick it up and push it back up the hill. But I really do see, like, good positive strides towards, like, future reform. So of course I would love for it to be quicker, but I think we are doing ourselves the service of, like, now we have the documentary. ITSAN you guys been doing webinars now. Like, this is incredible. And I just feel like the new relationships and stuff that have been forming because of ITSAN has been doing our community like 100 times more than what we used to do. So I see good change happening.
Good. I love hearing that take, that you know, the kind of the positive take on it, because I know that so many of us have dealt with so much frustration going to doctor, being heard, and yet coming on the board in December, and then with what Kelly has done in the last couple of months and then the documentary, I feel like, I loved your analogy of like moving up the mountain, but I feel like we've almost gotten to a new plateau.
Yeah.
And we're not going to roll all the way back down again, because we've reached this new plateau is now the bottom. And so we're just going to keep going. The momentum right now is just, it's absolutely incredible. And I'll be posting Kelly's latest report from her soon in the next few days, but the connections that are being made and now the resources that we have, I mean, we're equipped now. We don't have to walk into a doctor's office feeling alone. There's just the website, your documentary, to be able to take those things and just say, here you go. Especially when you're sick. It's so hard to advocate for yourself when you don't feel the most confident and you don't know what's going on. So,
and you feel lonely. And then when a doctor is basically telling you you're crazy, you're like, oh, I give up. Like you have, like you said, the gas is low.
And I love when you just mentioned all the places. Oh, sorry. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, you went frozen for a minute on me. I love when you were just mentioning all the places you traveled for the documentary, because one of the things that a little bit better is the meetups, it's so powerful to meet people who are going through it in person, not just online, but you mentioned so many places years ago that you traveled that had people. So I'm confident that there are people all over the country and all over the world that are going through this. So that's something we want to focus on too, and we will, those meetups, because I know when I went to Atlanta, it was the first time I stood in a room full of 30, 40 other people that knew my story. And there's so much comfort in being in the space of other people that you can just look at and go, yeah, me too. And you too. And we're in this together. So, just hearing you say all those spaces, back then I felt like there was nobody else in the world besides this girl, Briana, who does spoofs in the middle of the night that can entertain me. So we're out there for sure. Is there anything that you still feel compelled to do in your advocacy efforts, either for TSW awareness, for ITSAN, and how would you encourage others to help advocate?
I'm not like a perfectionist, I guess. Like work is never done. My hugest goal, I feel, and I kind of touched on it in the documentary, I really hate the label that says, do not use this past this time unless prescribed by your doctor. I would love to live to see the day where that's not on there anymore. Like that is a deep goal to where it can just give you the warning of don't use this. Forget your doctor. Like how is the doctor gonna negate all of those warnings that it just gave? Like I feel like that's something that should not be on a label, specifically for topical steroids. So that's a big one that I would love to see happen. And I mean, just people sharing this documentary alone is wonderful. Like not just, oh, that's so great that someone's sharing the work that I put out, but that it's helping raise awareness. And so I do hope that encourages people to create their own videos or create their own blogs, create things that they feel will help advocate for themselves, for, their family that's having to watch them go through it. I just hope people feel inspired to share their story, because it's not easy to share. It's really not. There's a lot of people I feel want to, and they just feel scared to. And I just hope that through the documentary, through ITSAN's efforts, that people will start feeling inspired to break down that wall and share their own journey.
Yeah, if I would have had this documentary when I was going through my withdrawals, I would have taken it into work and just pushed play and made all my everybody watch it with me. And I would have taken it to the family Christmas party and pushed play and just made everybody watch it with me, because it's the hardest thing to explain when people look at you and they're like, so yeah, the documentary is such a giant tool. And I guess advocacy now, I think between the ITSAN's website, the work that's being done to make those real connections, and the documentary, I feel like now we all can be advocates.
Yeah. I think it's just like validation. Like, I feel like when you're questioning what you're going through, you have a lot less courage, or a lot less desire to tell someone about it. But I feel like when you feel like validated, you have a little more strength and fortitude to put yourself out there.
Heck yeah. Together we're stronger. That's where the warriors gain speed, for sure. Briana, we have some questions that I want to get to, because I know viewers, especially when you're in some middle stage or beginning stage of this, like seeing somebody who's come through, I craved that every single day. I would get onto the old forum daily and just be like, somebody else, give me a tip, tell me something. So I want to address these questions. So if anybody else has questions, go ahead and get them in there now. But Janelle Brew actually sent a question in before, a couple of days ago, wanting to make sure we got to this one. So Janelle, I want to get to your question. How would you know that you're open? And this is Briana's opinion, everybody. I mean, I think every journey is a little bit. From your perspective, Briana, from your firsthand experience, how would you know that you're over the worst of it, over the flare-ups? Like, was it reduction in redness, more moisture retention? She said, I know this is hard to answer, but are there signs that we could be looking forward to? What's the hope to suggest that we're over the worst or near the end of it? How do you know?
That is a tough question. I mean, I remember there was like a day where I just looked at myself. I was like, oh, I look different. And I feel because I've created videos, I was just watching my old Game of Thrones one, and I could tell like I had this redness around my mouth. I had redness here, redness there. And I realized that, oh, I don't have that as much anymore. So it's really hard to pinpoint, but I will say possibly I had less redness. Like, I didn't feel like I had that sleeve anymore. Like, I didn't see like that line anymore. I was able to, I guess, possibly like go out in the sun without it severely irritating my skin. My hair growth, like I don't have as, dry as a scalp anymore. I know it's so different for everybody. And I wish I had a better answer, but just for me, it was just trying out little things that I felt helped me the most. Like, I use Elash cream now, but I used to use, Stephanie. It's not Home Apothecary anymore. It's Home Herbalist now, I think. Like her shea butters from her Etsy store. I don't know. I just felt day by day, things just got better. Nothing that really, I guess, struck out to me. But I will say the redness died down, and my ability to like go out and have a drink without it making me feel like I flared or anything like that. So I don't know if that answered the question. I'm so sorry, but that's, I guess, for me, what happened.
Yes, awesome. You talked about the sun, and we have a question Karen sent that says, is it normal to become sun sensitive? I had minimal sun exposure and swelled up like a zombie.
I mean, I believe so. Back when I was bad, I remember if I was out in the sun for like a short period of time, I felt like ooze came on. I felt like I swelled up. I remember I had to take a job. I was 3 months in. I don't know what I was thinking. I worked with Royal Caribbean for 2 weeks, and I was in Mexico, and just walking down the street, going to sit down, had food, and walking back, I felt like I just swelled up like a balloon from being out in the heat. So I definitely think the sun is iffy for a lot of people. Even now, like I can go out in the sun, but I will say I think it messes with my skin for a couple days afterwards. So sun is definitely something that's touchy, and it has to be an individual basis of what can you take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always feel like I need cool sun, if that makes sense. Like it could be sunny, but I can't get hot and sweaty. Like that's a totally different response than a nice, cool, like humid sun. Yeah, that works. That works a lot better for me. And then Caitlin just wanted to know, are there any products specifically that you highly recommend?
I mean, going back, like Stephanie has been amazing with her shea butters and balms. I remember using like her lemongrass one. She has a little special one that she made that I believe is for like the, how do you say that, molluscum? Like, I think it was like a special thing that she mixed for that. Like, I love them. My skin loved them. I used them all throughout when I was traveling and shooting the documentary. And now I've kind of gone towards more an emollient that Suhain, she was incredible. She's actually in the documentary as well. She created Elage, and I've been using that. And that's like the one thing that my skin tends to really love and doesn't really get irritated over. So those are like my go-to for skin stuff. I use like, I guess like soap wise, I don't use anything harsh, anything like too fragrancy or anything like that. So I mean, I would recommend either any of Stephanie's balms or the Elage cream that Suhain has out in California.
Briana, will you email me the link to, I know Stephanie's the home apothecary on Etsy, but will you email me the link to both of those products just so I can add them to our post for tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure.
As resources recommended by you.
Yeah. And I know Stephanie changed her name, sadly. I think she had to change it for like legal purposes. I think it's like the home herbalist now.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. So before we close for tonight, I think we've pretty much gotten to every question. We have one question left here. Caitlin wants to know, how long did it take for your skin to stop the weeping flares, or do you still experience those?
Yeah, I haven't had any weeping, thankfully, knock on wood, if there's wood somewhere. That sort of left probably after past my after 3 years, it was gone. Like when I was traveling, doing the documentary, I had some weepy moments. But after that, I would say nowhere past the 3-year mark did I have that. I don't really experience ooze anymore.
So would you consider yourself at this point, would you consider yourself healed? And is life getting back to what it was before, or are you just in a new place of life?
I would say I wouldn't call myself healed, just because I do feel like this is not the eczema that I used to have before. I feel like my skin could be better. Like if I have normal eczema, totally understandable. Like some people do get rid of it, but I don't think I'm one of those people. But I wouldn't consider myself healed. And as far as life, I feel like my life in general different than it was pre-TSW. I do still deal with like the emotional aspects of TSW, and I'm not sure, I feel like a lot of people would probably agree. Like people have PTSD, people are still working through those anxieties that have carried over from like the really bad days. So I do think that even though I'm still outgoing, I'm still like the quirky fun crazy person I was before TSW, but I do feel I tend to overthink certain things, or I have to step back and kind of let my skin take the wheel of, oh, what does it need today? And I feel like there's a lot more that goes on to my natural routine because I'm so worried about what my skin needs. But I can say life is getting much better. Like I said, I have a social life now, which during shooting the documentary and editing the documentary was not the case. Like, come this past September, I finally felt a little freedom. And so I was able to go out and I met new people, and it's been wonderful. Like, that's like an understatement. So I will say life is very different. You know, I lost out on a career. I'm no longer married, things of that nature. But I do see a positive moving forward, even though I am in limbo right now with some certain things. It's a new life, and I'm embracing this new future that I have after the worst of TSW.
Awesome. Very helpful. Well, before we close, I just want to thank you, Briana, so much for letting all of us have the benefit of your hard work while things were hard for you. And also just giving us this inspiration tonight that while we're going through this hard time, we can continue to do hard things and get through this. And I think that, we might be the, what do we call the four mothers, the forefathers of TSW, all of us, it's still, there's so much still to be discovered about how to make this truly preventable. But we know, and your documentary gives us this tool now to go out and just say, topical steroids need to be used with a lot more caution, a lot more regulation, and they're definitely not a long-term solution for a long-term condition. So that is a gift that you've given all of us. So we thank you for that. I don't even know how to say thank you. That's an understatement as well to say thank you for that. But can you hear me, Briana?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. And I just want to tell people in our last couple of minutes here, we will post Briana's link to her documentary again. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in Briana Banos and you'll find it. Watch it if you haven't. Share it with people who are wondering what you're going through. Share it with people that you see who have chronic skin conditions. That's how I found out that this is what I had. I had a colleague literally walk in and say, "Have you heard of red skin syndrome?" And I knew intuitively, I knew immediately that is what I was going to be going through. I knew right away. So don't be afraid to share it with people. If we can prevent one more person, especially kids who have not even gotten started on the journey, if we can prevent anybody from having to experience this, that is the goal. That is a big part of our mission. And just know that the board and our president, Kelly Barta, are working tirelessly and endlessly to get in the right meetings in front of the right people to continue to spread the awareness and really campaign for this preventable condition. So with that, we'll post tomorrow. Briana will post we'll post the documentary again. We'll post a couple resources that you mentioned. I know people are trying to write in here and say what the websites are. So if you'll just send those to me, we'll get those up there for everybody. I hope tonight that as you're watching this from wherever you are, that you are looking at a woman who is smiling, holding her Spidey, being completely 100% authentically herself. And she has endured the same pain, the same struggle, and the same journey that all of us have. And here she sits for us on our behalf to show us that you will come through, you will heal. So rely on ITSAN, go to itsan.org, donate if you feel you feel like it's helped so much to carry this work forward. That's another thing that we're doing is our pledge days once a month. Even $5 from every single person helps ITSAN continue on the mission. So please donate to ITSAN at itsan.org. Share and let us know if you feel called or compelled to want to help serve in this mission and this cause, because we need help. We may be kind of small right now, but we are mighty, we are fierce, and we are definitely warriors. That's why we are called warriors. So
I just want to say, literally, like, to anyone who watches this or hears this, I could not have made the documentary without ITSAN. Like, not in a million years could I have done this without ITSAN. Like, I'm here today because of ITSAN. And I donate to ITSAN because this is like the platform and the foundation for us. So if there is anyone out there like on the fence about donating, or like, oh, like, I understand a lot of us have financial issues and things, but for me, donating to ITSAN is like donating back to myself, because they are the ones that are out there literally tirelessly putting in so many more hours than they ever even see a dime for, to fight for this. And any penny that could go towards them is like worth it. It's priceless, honestly. So please, like, donate to ITSAN. You guys are going to be the game changers for this. And I think the goal one day is to not have ITSAN anymore, because we don't want to have to keep advocating for this and, pushing for this. One day we want this to be the norm of nobody uses steroids this way anymore. And we won't need to have to advocate, because doctors could be advocating for us. So please donate. Please, please, please.
Yes. And we just had Tammy Ray says, please mention Amazon Smile donations.
That's my mama.
We all shop on Amazon. Oh, it is? Okay. Well, thanks, Mom, for reminding us. But yes, it's one of the easiest ways to just give money to ITSAN without even having to put any effort in. So go to Amazon Smile instead of just Amazon, and then click ITSAN as the organization, the nonprofit that you want your money to go to, because it's like, I see the board reports now. We can see the donations and the money that come in. So definitely do that. Okay, so more suggestions here. What an amazing audience you guys have been. Very involved, Briana. You really brought the best out of people and got us some exciting people here tonight. So thank you guys for joining us. I hate when these end because we have to say goodbye until next time. But just know tonight, guys, wherever you are, this whole tribe, this whole community is here for you. And Briana's right. There are people on the board right now who are working 40 plus hours a week. They are traveling. They are literally working on this cause for you, for their story to be shared, so that this will totally be preventable. So know that they're out there. You are not alone. There are way too many people out there who care about you and want to make sure you've got support. So with that, Briana, thank you so much. You are a hero. You're a warrior. I'm always going to fan when I see you. I'm going to be your fangirl, because I just think you have done so much for us. And I hope you know that. I hope you rest knowing at night that you have contributed to all of us in a way that I just can't fathom. I can't imagine, for being the girl. Good. Well, thank you for being the girl years ago that I found in the middle of the night and got to laugh at myself. Like you said, it's not a funny condition, but if we in some way throughout it, then we are the luckiest for that. So with that, I'm going to say good night, everybody, and we will see you. We'll have this posted tomorrow, so if you need to give it the replay to somebody, you can. Briana's documentary is on YouTube. Go check it out and donate, and check out itsan.org, because that's where we're at, and we will stick together. So we'll see you all real soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you.